Hello everyone, my name is Joe Dougherty and I'm the summer seminarian here at St. Monica. Over the past few weeks, the gospel readings for Mass have been from Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7, which together are the Sermon on the Mount. So I want to make 3 reflection videos, one on each of those chapters. So today's will be on Matthew chapter 5, verses 33 and following, which is about oaths and swearing. And it goes like this. Again, you have heard that it was said to the men of old, "You shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn." But I say to you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. Now, what does this mean in simpler language? Jesus is saying, people tell you that you should do what you swear to do, but I'm telling you not to swear at all in the first place. Don't treat heaven and earth and Jerusalem and your own body like things that you're in control of. Just say yes or no when you're deciding whether to do something. So the basic point of this passage is this. We need to be humble about our limits, about accepting our limits. What does that mean? Well, it means that we shouldn't act like we're in charge when we aren't, and it means that we need to accept what we can and can't do instead of ignoring the truth. We need to be humble about our limits, about accepting what our limits are. So how do we arrive at that meaning? Well, this is a difficult passage because oaths and swearing are kind of unfamiliar to us. When I was a little younger, I thought of swearing as the bad words in movies that my mom didn't let me watch. But for the people that Jesus is talking to, these terms have a slightly different meaning. That's more like saying, I promise that something is going to happen, or else there will be this bad consequence. Or I promise that I'm going to do something, or else this unfortunate thing is going to happen. It would be a little bit like making a bet. So here's an example. Let's say I want to borrow my friend's car, and I say, Alex, can I borrow your car? I promise I'll bring it back tomorrow, otherwise I'll give you my mom's car. So I'm saying, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to give you the car back, otherwise this bad consequence will happen. I'm going to have to give you my mom's car. Obviously the problem here is I can't promise to give Alex my mom's car because it's not mine. I don't have any control over that. Or here's an example that would be a little more familiar to the people that Jesus is talking to. Let's say that someone wants to become king of that country. This person might say, I swear that I'm going to become king, or else may the world stop turning. So he's saying, I'm going to become king, otherwise this bad consequence will happen. The world will just stop turning. But obviously this guy doesn't have any control over whether the world keeps on turning or not. So it's like he's trying to make himself powerful over this thing that he's really not. So Jesus is telling us and telling these people that it's silly to make these kinds of oaths because we're dealing with things that we don't really control. If I have no power to give my mom's car to my friend or to make the world stop turning, then I shouldn't act like I can do those things. Now, those examples are not situations that we find ourselves in very often. So what does this situation look like for us? Well, sometimes we have the temptation to brag and talk big and make promises that we can't keep. We want to look like we're in control or look like we can control people sometimes. I might tell someone, sure, I can move all those boxes for you, because I don't want them to think that I'm weak. But maybe I shouldn't have promised that because I actually am kind of weak and I can't move the boxes that they wanted me to. Or someone might ask me to help organize a party and I say, sure, I'll bring a lot of friends, it'll be great. Because I want them to think that I'm really popular and I can totally do that. But maybe I shouldn't have promised that because I actually only know 2 or 3 people and I can't make them come to this party if they don't want to. So I'm not being humble about my limits there. So why is that a bad thing? Well, the basic problem that Jesus is talking about is pride. My pride makes me want to look like someone I'm not really, and to make me look like I have strengths that I don't have. So the issue with this is that if I'm not real with people, if I try to hide who I am and put up this fake front, and if they're doing the same thing, then we can't relate to each other, we can't connect, we can't be friends. And I've certainly experienced that before, when I was putting on some kind of a front or not letting people really see who I was, then we couldn't really connect. And then if we're doing that with each other, we're also doing that with God, and we're not letting Him into our lives. We're holding up these fake fronts to Him, and we're closing ourselves off to Him. Okay, so in this passage, Jesus is talking about ways that people talk big and pretend to control things that they don't. We talk like that sometimes so that people can't see who we really are, and usually that's because we're not comfortable with who we really are. But when we accept our limits and we accept who we are, we make it possible to relate to others and to love and be loved, and that's what Jesus wants for us, and that's who He made us to be. So let's end with two very practical ways that we can be real with people instead of pretending. First, let's say someone invites you to do something, asks if you want to go somewhere maybe. Now you know that you can't go without first checking with your parents or borrowing a car or whatever it is. So instead of saying, yeah, I'm in, let's go, instead we need to say, I'd like to, but first I have to get permission or borrow the car, etc. Or another example, let's say I'm doing a project with someone. Maybe this is a project for school, or maybe it's putting on a social event, or just doing some chores, and they ask me to handle part of it. So basically they're asking, can I rely on you to just take care of this thing? If I'm not sure whether I actually can do that thing, well, I should let them know. I shouldn't commit to it if I know that I'm not going to be able to do it. So it's better to disappoint them in advance rather than disappoint them later. It'll be for the best of us, for all of us in the end. Okay, well that's all folks. God bless, and thanks for watching.